Good morning, everyone. We are live right now, and I have some fabulous guests with us today. We're going to be touching on veganism and its effect on one's mental health. We have Gigi, Gina, Gigi Graham, and Dr. Shenell Evans. Now, Gigi was scheduled to be on with us for the Black Vegan Social Talk, and then here's what happened.
I need to explain.
No, I'm going to show people what happened. We've been conversating. What's going on over there? Tell us your story. I'm going to get you. We've been talking about the journey. You can't have anxiety on this. We've been talking about the journey and why we need Black Vegan Social Group. So tell us the story, because you have a big, large group.
I do, and it's nothing that I was searching for. I literally, I was in a really bad state emotionally, and I had been in depression. There was a few things that kind of happened prior to that, but I really got into this really bad space, and I would say December 2016, I knew that my next step would be something that would be me kind of contemplating like not being here, because I felt so helpless. So I immediately said, okay, I have to change something, and let me change my diet. And just January 1st said, hey, I'm gonna become a vegan, knew nothing about it. That gave me a little bit of hope, because it allowed me to kind of take ownership of my own body. And, coming from a family where, chronic disease is like amongst everyone, I felt empowered at that moment. So I kind of began a journey trying to connect with other Blacks, and I didn't see any. I was just like, I don't see any Black vegans. Everybody looks white and they're all staring at me. And so on March, I went to like a art walk in Jacksonville, Florida, and I decided, okay, I want to start a vegan group. So that April, the next art walk for that month, I had put something together and said, hey, if there are any Black vegans, let's connect. And about 15 to 20 people showed up. And I felt like, oh my gosh, this is life. And we started meeting up all the time. And I just decided to post it on Instagram. And then somebody was just like, hey, can you create me a group in my city? I said, sure. And kind of from there, we started having chapters, and that's how it kind of grew to where it is now. But like I said, I have anxieties, and the people were asking too much of me.
Yeah, I'm so glad you were able to jump on too. Gigi, that group, I've watched that group grow for the past few years. Like, and then you changed, like you had a page, and then you changed up to have a different Facebook page, and now you have the Instagram. I have, and that's all we needed for that one. So now we can get into the conversation. So everyone has the gist of what happened. Gigi has grown this large Black vegan social group, and it's at Black Vegan Social on Instagram. And you can find them as a private group and also as a page on Facebook. And it's just fabulous. I'm so impressed with that. The anxiety, and how did Dr. Shenell talk to us about that? What happened?
I think for me, it was a great opportunity to kind of start focusing on my mental health and being more accountable for it. And I don't know, Dr. Shenell, how we connected. I think I reached out to her. I saw she was a vegan and she was a psychologist, and I just inboxed her to say, hey, let's do something within the group to talk about mental health. The biggest thing was for the first like year, 2 years, I was very transparent with my followers. and just telling them the state that I was in. And I realized that that level of transparency was reciprocated. Like, they started being extremely transparent. I found that a lot of members of the group also suffer with some sort of like mental illness. And I wouldn't even say like illness, but they have some unresolved mental problems that they kind of wanted to, or challenges that they wanted to address. And so I started having like lives with Dr. Shenell, and it was really helpful because it helped us all kind of navigate through things that may have happened or occurred in our past. So yeah, when I speak about having anxieties and things like that, it is very specific to traumas that I experienced, but was never taught on how to manage or handle them. Through my religion at that time, it was kind of lay it at the feet of Jesus. But for me, it didn't help. I had some stuff that happened. And so how do I manage and cope? And Dr. Shenell taught me about resilient living. And my connection with her, since we connected, we've been joined at the hip, and definitely has helped me a whole lot, let me tell you.
Okay, Dr. Shenell, you want to talk about that? That journey? One, are you vegan, vegetarian? Because I know you promote the nutritional aspect of it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I aim to live a predominantly plant-based lifestyle. I, sometimes have my moments, which I think is human, and I think that even in and of itself, how we approach ourselves when we, have a slip or make a different decision than what we intend to in the moment, it's all fruit for the types of conversations that we want to have with folks. Gina reached out to me. I made a post about, food on Instagram, and, lo and behold, there's someone in my inbox asking me about, potentially being an advisory board member for a Black vegan group. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know such thing existed. And I was, privileged to be asked. But, that presented an opportunity to learn more about Gina and the group and what was going on. And, there's some connections that you make with folks that you can tell that there's another layer of depth. And Gina and I had that. And so it's been quite a journey to just get to know one another. It's been over almost 2 years now that we've, been in correspondence and really been friends and supporting one another on our journey. So I am absolutely plant-based and, love to support folks who are trying to make all kinds of healthy lifestyle changes, because I believe that there's many avenues to healing, not just talking, not just being physically active. We need the whole gamut of things to really be well.
How detrimental was the issue of mental health in the U.S. before the COVID-19 pandemic? And what do you think about what's going now that we're in the pandemic?
The pandemic has, I would say, made things feel more like a pressure cooker for lots of folks, and has brought people, brought more people into the experience, a conscious awareness of oppression, conscious awareness of the many factors and the way that our systems in this country do not really support our thriving and well-being. So COVID, dealing with, George Floyd and the tragedy that happened with him, the tragedies that have been happening with Black and brown people and other marginalized groups, it's too much. It's too much. So mental health and stress were already, markers of our lived experience. And you add a ton more stressors. People can't work, they can't feed themselves. not able to get around and do the things that we usually do to help relieve some of the stress, because we have whole industries developed just to help us not be so stressed out, when we could actually deal with the systems and hopefully, you know, have a different society. So it was already bad. A lot of people that we see day to day, we have no idea the struggles that they live with. We do a lot of social comparison. It's like, oh, they seem like they're happy, you know, just because somebody's outside holding hands or taking a great picture. It's like, that's what you think cameras are for. You should smile, you know, but that doesn't mean that once that flash is done, that everything's all good.
So Gigi mentioned that she has anxiety. Gigi, you have anxiety. Yeah. What issues, what mental health issues are prevalent, especially in communities of colors? Because there's all type of mental health. What are we seeing? Because Gigi, you had some people in the group reaching out to you. What are the main ones that are that are prevalent in our communities?
Anxiety is actually one of the biggest ones. Depression. I saw that there were a lot. I spoke about at one point. I spoke about sexual abuse that I had experienced, and that one kind of my inbox was bombarded with men and women who had experienced those sorts of traumas as kids. And being an adult, how do you manage and deal with the shame? And, you know, I had one guy who had never told a soul about what happened to him when he was 7. And because of that, you develop triggers and anxieties, and you have little spouts of depression, and you don't know how to manage it. You don't know how to really cope with it when the thoughts kind of flood your mind. And so I would say definitely anxieties.
Yeah. I've had my fight with anxiety, and I can tell you it was early 30s, and I was in a toxic relationship, and a relationship I've been in a long time. And, you know, it's like what you say. I was going to work like that. I was driving like that. I was like, I had to have this like audio cassette tape of music. It was like I still have it today, a soothing sound therapy music that would calm me down. It is like, if you don't know how to deal with it, or if you don't know who to go to or who to talk to, you can be at a really great loss. I mean, for me, reading books, listening to audio tapes, like my mom didn't even know what was going on until I had told her, you know, I'm thinking about contemplating suicide. It's just that serious. How do you think veganism or the plant-based eating has assisted you with this? Because you mentioned that in the show that, you know, that was helping. How?
Well,
what were you eating?
What I noticed immediately when I became a vegan, and I was more, I was about like electric foods. I immediately found that I stopped having migraines, because I had extreme migraines. I noticed that even like on a spiritual level, I was able to kind of pick up on a lot. I was a lot more sensitive, and things that normally would bother me or trigger me, they really didn't bother me as much. There was like a sense of awareness. I don't know if it's because of what they inject into the meats and the foods that kind of really perpetuated me feeling down.
It's a stress. Those animals are stressed. They know what's going on. I said the animals are stressed. That's what's injected into the fear and the stress. They're like, help me, I'm gonna die. Like, that's what we're eating.
And I felt that, and I used to have moments where I was just down. And as soon as I became a vegan, I immediately saw the difference. I even see a difference as a vegan when I eat more electric foods than when I eat vegan processed foods. Like, I notice a huge difference. So me and Dr. Shenell have been talking about how food does play a part with your mood. And again, it's just a gateway, because like she said, you can't just focus on veganism and think that you're not going to have anxiety problems, right? You learn how to manage, but you also make sure that you're feeding your body the appropriate nutrients, so that as you're doing the work, you have the fuel to do it versus, you know, feeling like, okay, I'm tired. I really don't want to do this. So veganism definitely helped me.
Yeah, food is supposed to give you life. And when you're saying electric foods, I had the Alkaline Body friends in Baltimore on a couple of weeks ago, and they talked about, you know, the alkaline foods, the electric foods, and it does make a difference because and process is process. I don't care if it's vegan or it's animal, but process is process. It still takes a toll on your digestive system, and it slows you down. Real foods, whole food, plant-based foods are the best food, period. End of story. And that's what we like to promote within the community. Now, the transition, you know, people, you know, to get them over that hump of, okay, well, I'm going to miss, you know, this or that. Yeah, we have those transition processed foods, but they're not meant to be consumed in abundance.
Yeah.
You know, because I have friends that, you know, they were going to eat the Impossible burgers, you know, the Beyond burgers, and they want to do this with the fries all day long. And then next thing you know, they go to the doctor and now they have all these health. Well, I thought vegan was healthy. Nobody said it was healthy. We're just saying, you know, you're not going to, you're going to reduce cruelty to animals and save the environment and all other stuff. But when you're talking about health, you still need to put quality foods into your body.
Right.
What each of you do as a Black social group founder and as a psychologist, Dr. Shenell, so important to the community? Why is it?
Well, I feel like Gina's probably like, I've been talking a lot. So I'll start. You know, as a little girl, I was always very curious about how people think and why they choose to do what they do. And I had experiences in life that helped funnel me into that direction. You know, I was trying to be a basketball star, you know.
Oh, wow.
And we just start here. Okay, we had surgery in high school, and that kind of, you know, dampened those dreams.
Sound like fun.
It put me on a path of proclaiming that I would be a motivational therapist for my high school basketball team. I didn't know what the hell a motivational therapist was. I didn't know what it was. But I knew I wanted to lend an ear. I knew I wanted to be a supportive shoulder. I knew I wanted to uplift others. And so following that path has brought me into the space that I'm at now. And it's so gratifying to be able to be in the journey with people as they gain new insights and come to understand themselves in different ways. And particularly for Black and Brown people, we don't have the models of this more processing. And, you know, Gina opened the talk with, you know, the vulnerability piece. Like, come on, who does that? That's not commonplace. Exactly. So being able to normalize certain things that we as human beings need, you know, that are helpful to our making progress and showing up in the world how we want. And to me, I'm like, okay, what are the common factors that we need to know? What are the major processes? Like, I'm a master the basics type of person, and then we can add on all the things after that. But what are the basics? And our communities have not been taught the basics of what it means to function well. And it really is a revolutionary act to care about your health enough to go against the grain of our society.
Yeah, a lot of us haven't even been taught the basis of compassion because a lot of us have grown up getting our butts whipped. You know, I have a friend or an associate, I love her, Stacy Patton. She's an author. She's a professor over at Morgan. She has a book, Spare the Children, how whooping Black children are not going to save them in America. I mean, and it makes sense because that's trauma too. Some people say it works. You know, I don't whip or beat my child because, again, you know, we don't know what that's doing to them. It could be causing some of this anxiety and depression and all this. I mean, it's
just counterintuitive. I think if we really look at what we're trying to get out of the other person, then we ought to give more thought to the strategies and the hows that we put into practice, because, you know, the tough love approach that we've practiced a lot in our families and communities much of that is internalized oppression. So then we're just dealing it back to one another, and it's not getting us where we think it ought to, because it just doesn't work that way.
Exactly.
So a lot of what I do with folks is to really try to set a new foundation from which to build upon, so that we can engage in the world differently, engage in our internal worlds differently, and then therefore show up differently in our relationships.
Thank you for that, Dr. Shenell. Gigi, how is what you're doing important as, even if it's just you as a founder or your administrators, moderators, the groups? Why is it so important?
Well, community definitely is important. For the longest, and you probably have been a vegan way longer than both Shenell and I.
Yeah, 15 years.
Right. There's been like a negative view about veganism. And now it's something that is trending, especially in communities of color, which I appreciate. And so us being able to own that story and that narrative is really important, in coming together and sharing things that have benefited us. So community is necessary for us as people of color, and just having our place, because what I noticed as well, in a lot of the other groups that they have, and I'm grateful for all of the groups because the support is needed. But a lot of times I noticed that many members of color didn't have a voice. And what we experienced in our vegan journey differed from our counterparts greatly. And so when you try to talk about not just the food part, but like Dr. Shenell mentioned earlier, we're having to see on TV Black and brown people like us being murdered. We're having to deal with the systematic structures and in our day-to-day living. All of that can be overwhelming. So having a place where you can come together and people just get it, just relate, is so important. So I think the reason why the group even grew is because people want to take charge of their life. People want to be more accountable, even from an ethical standpoint. But how do we do it dealing with what we're dealing with? And that's why I think groups like ours are so necessary.
Yes, and it's a cultural thing, because you got to understand the culture, you got to understand the background and what we've been through in order to really communicate and connect with us. If you don't, then, or if you won't, then that's going to be an issue. My next question is, how does continued engagement with Black vegan social groups versus other social groups help with mental health? And I think you kind of were touching on it, and we're talking about the whole cultural sense of it. Do you want to add anything to that with the continued engagement piece versus being engaged with other social groups? Yeah, we want to know what's going on. Every group has its own personality, but I think definitely being in tune and engaged with our social groups helps us even more, especially when we have this going on. The answer is no. Vegan sucks. It's dumb. How do we respond to stuff like that? Like
everybody has a right to, and this is what we always say in the group. Everybody has a right to their journey, right? I don't like the ideal of trying to impose my view or perspective on someone else. The purpose of like even our group is everybody's at different levels. A lot of people in the group aren't even vegan. They're just curious. That curiosity is good enough for us. We're not trying to say, oh, don't you do this? Don't you do that? We're saying these are the tools. This is the community. You utilize it the way that's necessary for you. And we've found that people over time change, because if you are reading stories or reading posts about people who saying, hey, I've been dealing with this, what are some of the suggestions that you give? And you read it, wait a minute, I've been dealing with that too, and you're getting the feedback. It will kind of lead you to a place where you're able to make the best decision for yourself. And so that's where I think that what differs in Black vegan social. And I want to give a shout out to like the admin, which they are absolutely amazing. We try to stay away from, oh, don't eat this, don't do that. Everybody knows it's a vegan group. If you come in with something vegan, you're not going to be in there too long. And then we just kind of let you grow and share. And, you know, if you want to talk about Black issues, you can. If you want to talk about things that we experience, you can. And it's a safe place. And so, you know, just on that mental health piece, you think about it, in communities of color, we've demonized mental health for so long. You're crazy, you're this, you're that, for the longest. And when you think people deal with bipolarism, we use that, and it's an actual challenge that people face day to day. And somebody does something that we don't want, and the first thing we say, you're bipolar, you're crazy. And so we're learning to change our verbiage. We're learning to communicate better and interact better. We're learning the importance. And so, yeah, groups like ours, other groups, be a part of all of them. If you're going to grow, put yourself in a position and an atmosphere where you're growing. But, you know, groups like ours are very important because we are going to challenge and not just talk about veganism. We're going to talk about, okay, so how you feeling today? Because, you know, it's people in the group who have battled with suicide. You know, it's people in the group who have some type of disease or something that's overtaken them, and they don't know who to talk to or where to turn. So yeah, we want it to be a safe place to love. And that's, again, when I first connected with Dr. Shenell, she brought that to my life. She made me understand that what I was experiencing wasn't wrong. I just have to take control and give myself other options. Instead of feeling hopeless, what are some other options you can have? And because of that, I tell her all the time, like, she doesn't know how powerful she is. I really was at a bad space, y'all. I'm looking at the camera now. I was really at a bad space.
Oh, I get it. You don't have to tell me, because I know, you know, people look at you and, you know, and they've looked at me like, oh, you know, she's continuing to go, but you really don't understand what's going on internally. And then when you let it out, they were like, I would have never imagined. So yeah, there's a lot of people going through a lot of things.
A lot of people.
Dr. Shenell, so we'll talk about your practice and what you do. How does the nutrition and integrative medicine play into alleviating mental health, and any particular foods or any particular, you know, general recommendations that you make? You want to talk about that?
Yeah, well, you know, I want to bring up the fact that I'm not just, I guess, talking about this because it's cute.
No, it's definitely not cute.
You know, I myself was in a space where I was pretty much bedridden, and I'm very, you know, I'm like,
that's depression,
mid-30s. No, it was fibromyalgia.
Oh,
it was chronic pain, insomnia. You know, I have a whole story to tell, in that, you know, I was living on a cocktail of, you know, about 14 medications just to get through a day.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So the taking up the call to care for my body in a different way, taking up the call to seek for, there has to be more out there. There has to be a better way. At one point I was in the mindset that, you know, I needed a pill, right? Like, you know, because that's all I could really fathom. I can get to the doctor and see what the hell they have to say. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I used to take Xanax and Xanax, and when Xanax was too strong, I was prescribed Boost Bar, and then you know, I don't like any of that stuff. I don't like drugs.
So but that's a space that we're in, and again, we're talking about a journey, and so moving along in your wellness journey to no longer feeling okay with just taking what someone else says and trying to live by that, but really diving in more into your own journey and your experience. And I think that is a key part for Black people, because one, we barely have access to the health system. And then two, when we get there, sometimes we kind of have an approach of you take what you get, and we aren't vocal, and then our pain isn't listened to and investigated as thoroughly. And we hear tons of stories of our folks dying because of medical negligence, essentially. So that's a key piece in what I bring to my work. I don't intend to show up as a blank canvas. I have a lived experience with things. I have my own journey. And because I work primarily with Black and brown people, I'm able to share that, and it resonates in a little bit of a different way. So to bring things more forward, what I want to say is that, emotions are not our enemy, right? Feelings are hardwired into all of us, and they're going to be hardwired into us. So eradication of mood, of feeling things is not really the aim. It's to understand what's bringing about those emotions and how we can engage with ourselves differently to have a different lived experience. And that those keys and pieces of information, those are the things that we've got to learn more about and untangle, so that then we can recalibrate ourselves and move into a different way of being. So the coming into awareness of nutrition and integrative approaches, alternative and complementary medicines, it's to me that acceptance of them is part of the journey on the illness and wellness continuum. And I like to meet people where they're at. If you're in the space of you need a pill to get your mind right, and I'm going to work with you there, and we're going to help get you into a different space, right? If you're in the space of the chakras and crystals and all that, I can meet you there.
That's me. I do that is all the way me. I'm burning a positive energy candle now. Yeah. Aloha Bay, everybody. That's where I get my Aloha Bay. They got positive energy, happiness, money, abundance, healing. That I'm look, the chakra. I'm sorry, I just had to have that moment.
And wherever we are, but that it's so much diversity in our experiences that we can benefit from learning. A lot of times people don't know about all of these different practices. So I take it upon myself as a practitioner to understand what's out there. I don't have to practice all the things, but I can point you in a direction that can be helpful for you. Right. That you can at least experiment and try something new and different.
We're listening to Gina, Gigi Graham of at Black Vegan Social on Facebook and IG, and Dr. Shenell Evans. Website information there is drshenell.com, and she's on IG, Dr. Shenell, Instagram, Dr. Shenell. This is a great conversation. It's needed because, we can talk about veganism and health and plant-based lifestyle and Black Lives Matter and all this stuff. But at the core of it all is, what are we doing about our mental health issues? There's a war going on outside. Whatever war you want to think of is going on. The virus war, the civil war, the economic war. Right. And we have to be mentally strong to deal with this, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, all of this stuff. And the mental is the foundation, and we have to strengthen that. Yeah. So is plant-based lifestyle the way? Is it? Is it not? If so, how do we pivot? And if not, what is the solution or solutions?
It's absolutely part of the way, right? If we're going to, let me tell you how I look at things, okay? So I look at it like this. We've got to have food sovereignty.
Yes.
We have to be able to produce, to produce and cultivate our own food so that we're not dependent on others, so that we're not just fed the garbage and whatever they want to, shove down our throats and normalize as food. It is absolutely imperative that food be one of the pillars that we look to getting our minds right.
Right. Did you hear? I mean, and these are things that I haven't looked at any facts yet, but you'd heard it off and on during the pandemic about food shortages and the supermarkets potentially being short. Right. So now is the time to really get serious about food sovereignty and securing food and on all that stuff, because there's people right now, families that are going to food banks to get food. And I don't really see that problem going away anytime soon. We got another 6 months to probably a year of this pandemic. That's the reality, everyone. We got another 6 months to a whole year with this, and nobody knows what's going to go on tomorrow. So we have to plan ahead and prepare, take it one day at a time to try not to get any anxiety. And if you do, you got Dr. Shenell here and you got the Black vegan groups. So, but we have to keep it real. This is what's really going on. So food sovereignty. What other solutions do we have? We got the groups, we got, resources here that people can connect with. What else do you recommend?
Whatever else helps you. Feel grounded, nurtured, cared for, loved. And, we don't want to tip over into overindulgences. That's not what I'm talking about. See, even self-care has to be reassessed when we're talking about living well, right? Yeah. Self-care is not just going to get my hair done, my nails good, I got a slamming outfit, baby, but you still feel like doo-doo.
Right. That's all the outside, and then on the inside,
So if you don't have the skills to assess what you really need, to hear the call of your higher self, your sacred self, your what's coming from your unconscious, because really what are emotions? Is you getting your attention.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, it is.
To look at what's going on so then you can meet your own needs. That's what our emotions are there to help us function as our kind of guidance system, help us along the way. But we don't have the tools and capacity to really get to the meat of the matter. And we get derailed by all types of reasonings, ways of looking at things. And so I like to, I like to take a proverbial broom and help people sweep around so that we can get rid of some of what we don't need and stay focused on what's essential. So then we can really make the progress that we'd like to make.
Thank you for that. So you have some things coming up, and we're going to get to those announcements, because this leads me right into my next question of how can we effectively disseminate this much needed information of mental health healing assistance in our communities. And you sent me this the Black Vegan Social and Dr. Shenell Evans group coaching, which you're launching on August 11th. So everyone, tell your friends, this is going on August 11th. You need some group coaching. There's a live chat happening, and then it says 8 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, tell us about that. I'm going to bring up the other picture too, because it gives the website, the drshenell.com food. Tell us what's going on with this.
We are linking up to, Gina and I always have fabulous conversations, okay?
I'm sure you do. It only took me about 55 minutes it took me a month or two. And then after we agreed on a time, another 55 minutes to get you on your I know y'all have a great conversation.
Yeah. So, we want to join forces to help folks, right? Like, I'm bringing my expertise, she's bringing her expertise and deep understanding and knowledge of the vegan community and Black folks living a plant-based lifestyle. She's more in, both of y'all's stripes are longer duration than my own. So I am yet learning too. And I don't mind taking the role of a learner, because that helps make me less fragile to falling off of the wagon, right? Like, if I can sit with the fact that there are things that I just don't know. And part of the process and journey is to encounter mental blocks and things like that. Sometimes we just need some support to get, as I'm a country girl from Arkansas, to get another further, as I say.
Love
to help get us another further, we need the support. And it is an honor and privilege to me anytime I join anyone's journey. And I just think that, now is the time for us to go ahead and take the restraints off You know, I get anxious too. Again, it is not about never feeling an emotion. It is about how we navigate through them. Right? So being able to teach folks, I'm working on my 4-step formula of more resilient living, and being able to, you know, share that with people and really build the skills necessary to show up how we want. You know, when I think of resilience, I think of the ocean. I think of the buoys in water, and the fact that, you know, as Black and brown people, the traditional way of looking at resilience is you bounce back after something, right? You get back to your baseline. And I'm like, honey, we just keep bouncing. You know, where is this baseline? You know, so
we just keep bouncing. There's always something. But that water helps.
How do we live a life of being in the storm, but not being the storm?
Right.
You know? How can we cultivate a space within ourselves and within our communities that can keep us agile and fluid and flexible and able to roll with what comes? Because a buoy in the ocean has to deal with whatever state the water's in. And we have to deal with so much in our lives, not just personally, but collectively, socially, economically. Like, all the things are always on us. And that is a heavy load to carry on your own. So I value the collective, and I value providing a safe space whereby we can sharpen one another.
I'm glad that you said that. When you talk about collective, like, I know, you know, on a local level, because I'm in Baltimore, you know, there's a lot of collectiveness here and people getting together. But I'm also being from New York and New Jersey and having that mindset of connecting outside of the area, like a West Coast, South. That we can be collective across the nation. So something like this, the Black Vegan Social with the 70,000 plus members, and Dr. Shenell, Food Plus Mood, and doing this. So everyone take this down, this drshenell.com/food, and connecting on these calls. We can learn some things and share some best practice and tips that we can disseminate. Going back to my question about how do we effectively disseminate this much needed information in our own communities? We do that by working collectively together across the board, whether it's, you know, in the nation or internationally. So this is amazing, and I'll be promoting that, and I plan to join as well. My last question was going to be, so we have Taraji P. Henson has a mental health organization, you know, based around issues that her dad went through. Do you think we as a community should be connecting with her or organizations like this? Why not? Because I don't know. There's probably more organizations. I haven't done the research around it. You may know more than me, but should we actively or directly be connecting with these type of organizations and maybe pushing or suggesting a plant-based agenda, or, you know, whatever it is? What are your thoughts?
I mean, the question comes to mind, why not? You know, why not join? And, you know, for plant-based folks, vegan folks, we can lend a voice to these initiatives and then also receive of what they're delivering. And, you know, her organization, you know, God bless it, because we got to do so much stigma busting. You know, that we need all hands on deck on every level. We need the preschool teachers, right? We need the college professors, we need the celebrities, we need everyone. We need folks who are, you know, who happen to be in on Wall Street in the financial sector, like all hands literally on deck. Right. But because this mental health thing, it's always been an issue, and it's not going away. And now that we're in this pandemic, it's just going to get worse. So we definitely have to do something about it. Any special messages, things that you have on your mind right now that before we get off, that you want to make sure that the viewers get before we leave? And while you're thinking about that, I just want to make sure I shout out, thanks Jane and Shane for allowing us to use your platform for this discussion. Everyone, please subscribe to NaijhaSpeaks.com. This talk, along with other talks that I've done,
are on there, ready for replay. The National Afro Vegan Virtual Conference is Saturday, July 25th. I am one of the keynote speakers, along with Tracy McWhirter, who's been a vegan for close to 4 decades. Brenda Sanders. You're also going to have Dr. Milton Mills and other doctors talking about plant-based eating. You got vegan parenting one-on-one. My husband, Gregory Brown of the Land of Kush, will be on that panel, and also cooking demos. So we got a Yende Howell, we got Jessica Carter, and other fabulous folks, and also wellness sessions. So you want to register for that at afroveganssociety.org/events. So make sure you register for that. And if you're looking for recipes and you want a fresh salad, if you go to BVSMD, that's the Black Veg Society of Maryland, you can get a 20 recipe booklet. All you have to do is opt in by providing your email. So what do you have before we leave?
Gina?
Well, I want to say to all of the listeners, regardless of where you are in your journey, there's always opportunity for growth. And what we would like to provide from the platform of Black Vegan Social is just a space for you to grow, and an opportunity for you to take hold of your journey and you become the narrator. And if you're interested in veganism, if you're interested in dealing with some of the things that you may have experienced, like focusing on them head on, this is the time in the season. Like, even though the COVID has really kind of stopped everything on a social level, it's a really good time also for you to kind of really go within.
Yes.
And just challenge yourself and look within to see, are there some areas in my life that I can be better? And so if it's you, your family members, hey, join the group, join Dr. Shenell and what she's doing, and, let's keep moving forward.
Yes.
Thank you for that, Gigi.
I wanted, I really wanted to say this. I saw on Instagram a post that said that humans are just emotionally complicated plants. And that has really stuck with me as I, expand in my love and appreciation for Mama Earth and my connection with her. And when I drink my chlorophyll water, I'm like, whew, I'm getting that good plant DNA,
Yes.
But from the standpoint of emotions and mood, thinking of ourselves as plants don't look at one another and judge, if we were to anthropomorphize, like, a rose, it's not going to look at a dandelion and be like, oh, why I got to have so much sunlight and I need this water. And, like, we can honor our own needs.
Yes.
And meet ourselves in a space that is compassionate, that is attentive, and that is willing to do what it takes so that we can be the best plant individual that we can be. So I like how you put that.
Yeah, I like how you put that. Yes. That's amazing. I mean, yeah, because we're all operating in our own universes, and yes, and a lot of times that planting mentality. Yeah, you need that. This is. I hope this talk has helped someone out there, and if it hasn't helped you, share it with someone that may need some help. So I made the correction. It's drshenell.com, one N /food for those talks that are coming up. Please. And then you have the Black Vegan Social at Black Vegan Social, again, to get your social support. Nobody's checking the vegan card. If you're veganish, vegan curious, please. Yeah. It's a great group. I appreciate you taking the time to come out and talk with me and visit me again, Gigi.
Thank you.
And this won't be the last, because we'll talk about what will happen in the group after y'all get it up and running, and we can kind of talk and see if we could get some more people to join in on that, because I think that's going to be fabulous, and it's much needed as we move on into the next quarters of this demic. Okay, and we have, what is it? Spread the word, veganism, wherever you are. Tell everyone to join the compassion. Don't be left behind. Join the family. Yes, yes.
Exactly.
Great talk and great resources. Thank you, Margot. We're going to try to continue bringing that to our viewers and our listeners. So please share, just let everyone know, subscribe to NaijhaSpeaks.com, and definitely follow me. And yeah, you'll get more of this. I appreciate you, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Naijha.
Thank you so much.
Oh, not a problem. It's a
Blast.
pleasure.